What if silence was never emptiness, but power? Think about it. In every room, there is always that one person who says almost nothing. They observe, they listen, they rarely interrupt, and yet, somehow their presence feels heavier than everyone else's words combined. Why? Why do silent people often make others uncomfortable or strangely drawn to them? And more importantly, what do they know that others don't? From a surface perspective, silence is often misunderstood. Society teaches us that to be valuable, you must speak, express, perform. We are told that confidence is loud, that intelligence must prove itself, that presence is measured in words. But beneath that illusion lies a deeper truth, one that has been quietly preserved in ancient teachings, hidden philosophies, and esoteric traditions for centuries. Because in those traditions, silence was never seen as weakness, it was seen as mastery. The sages did not speak often, not because they had nothing to say, but because they understood something most people never realize. Every word you speak is a release of energy. Every unnecessary sentence is a leak of power, and the ones who learn to contain that energy begin to transform it. In this video, we are going to uncover the hidden truth about silent people, not from a psychological perspective alone, but from a deeper, almost forgotten understanding of energy, awareness, and inner power. You will discover why silence creates a magnetic presence, how silent people perceive reality differently, and how you can use silence as a tool to reclaim your focus, your energy, and your influence. Because silence is not the absence of something, it is the presence of something most people have lost. And once you understand it, you will never see quiet people the same way again. Long before the modern world began to worship noise, speed, and constant expression, silence was revered as a gateway to truth. In the temples of ancient Egypt, initiates of the mystery schools were required to undergo periods of enforced silence before they were allowed to receive deeper knowledge. They called it a form of purification, not of the body, but of perception, because only when the noise of the mind quieted could reality begin to reveal itself. In the Hermetic tradition, often attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, there is an unspoken principle that echoes through many teachings, the idea that true wisdom is not spoken but realized. Words, in this view, are merely shadows of understanding. The deeper truths cannot be explained, they must be experienced in silence. This idea appears again in Eastern philosophies. In Taoism, Lao Tzu famously implied that those who know do not speak, and those who speak do not know, not as a condemnation of speech, but as a recognition of its limitation. Language divides reality into pieces, while silence allows you to perceive it as a whole. Zen Buddhism took this even further. Masters would often respond to profound questions, not with answers, but with silence, or even a simple gesture. To the untrained mind, this seemed evasive, but to those who understood, it was direct transmission, because the answer was not meant to be heard, it was meant to be seen, felt, realized beyond thought.
And then there were the mystics. Across Sufi traditions, Christian monastic orders, and even ancient Indian yogic practices, silence was used as a discipline, not just to avoid distraction, but to refine awareness. The less one spoke, the more one noticed. The more one noticed, the deeper one understood. But here is the part most people miss. Silence was not just about gaining knowledge, it was about conserving and transforming energy. In many esoteric systems, speech is seen as a form of outward energy projection. Every word carries intention, emotion, and force. When used unconsciously, it dissipates your inner power. But when restrained, that same energy begins to accumulate, and eventually, it changes the quality of your presence. This is why, historically, those who practiced silence were often described as having an unusual aura, a kind of gravity. Not because they were trying to appear mysterious, but because they had learned to stop leaking themselves into the world. In contrast, the modern world operates in the opposite direction. We are encouraged to react instantly, to share every thought, to fill every moment with sound. Silence has become uncomfortable, even threatening, because when everything goes quiet, something begins to surface: your own mind. And for many, that is the one thing they are trying to avoid. So silence was slowly reframed, not as power, but as awkwardness, not as depth, but as lack. And yet, the ancient understanding never disappeared. It simply became hidden, preserved in fragments, waiting to be rediscovered by those who begin to question, what if silence is not emptiness, but access? To understand the hidden truth about silent people, you have to stop seeing silence as behavior and start seeing it as a state of energy. Most people believe silence simply means not speaking, but that is only the surface. True silence is the absence of internal noise, and this is where the difference begins. Imagine two people sitting in the same room, both saying nothing. One is quiet, but inside their mind is racing, judging, comparing, rehearsing what to say next, replaying the past, anticipating the future. There is tension, restlessness, fragmentation. The other is also silent, but internally there is stillness. No need to prove, no urge to react, no pressure to fill the space, just awareness. From the outside, they look identical, but energetically, they are worlds apart. This is why some silent people feel uncomfortable to be around, while others feel strangely powerful, because silence amplifies what is within. If your inner world is chaotic, silence exposes it. If your inner world is centered, silence magnifies it. And the human nervous system is extremely sensitive to this difference, even if people cannot consciously explain it. This leads us to the first hidden truth. Silent people are often more aware, not because they try harder, but because they waste less attention. Every conversation, every reaction, every unnecessary word consumes cognitive and emotional energy. It pulls your awareness outward, scattering it across people, situations, and impressions. But when someone speaks less, that energy begins to turn inward, and something interesting happens. They start noticing things others miss. Subtle shifts in tone, micro-expressions, the unspoken tension between words, the energy behind what is being said, not just the words themselves. It's like the difference between standing in a noisy market and walking into a quiet forest. In the market, your senses are overwhelmed. You hear everything, but perceive nothing deeply. In the forest, the silence sharpens perception. You begin to hear the smallest movement, feel the slightest change in the air. Silent people live closer to that forest state, not because they avoid people, but because they are not constantly drowning in noise. Now here is where it becomes even more interesting. Silence does not just enhance perception, it creates presence. When someone is constantly talking, reacting, or seeking validation, their energy becomes predictable. It flows outward, seeking response. But when someone is silent, their energy is contained, and the human mind is naturally drawn to what it cannot easily read. This creates what many people describe as magnetic presence. You've felt this before. Someone walks into a room and says almost nothing, but people notice them, not because they demand attention, but because they do not need it. Their silence creates space, and in that space, others begin to project meaning, curiosity, even respect. But this is not manipulation, it is a byproduct of non-leakage, because every time you speak without intention, you give away pieces of your focus, your clarity, your power. Silent people, whether consciously or not, have learned to hold that energy, and what is held begins to accumulate. This is why their words, when they do speak, often carry more weight, not because they are louder, but because they are backed by stored attention. Think of it like pressure. A constantly open valve releases energy continuously, but never builds force. A closed system, however, builds pressure until even a small release has impact. This is the energetic principle behind silence, and once you begin to see it this way, silence is no longer passive, it becomes active containment. But silence is not always what it appears to be, and this is where most people misunderstand it. Because while silence can be a form of power, it can also be a form of protection. Not all silent people are calm, not all silent people are aware, some are simply withdrawn. So the second hidden truth is this: there are two very different kinds of silence, and only one leads to mastery. The first is defensive silence. This is the silence of someone who has been hurt, judged, misunderstood, and has learned that speaking comes with consequences. So they retreat, they hold back, not out of awareness, but out of fear. From the outside, they may appear quiet, even composed, but internally there is tension, suppression, unspoken emotion building pressure beneath the surface. This kind of silence does not create presence, it creates distance. People can feel it even if they cannot explain it, because instead of openness, there is contraction. Instead of awareness, there is avoidance. And over time, this silence becomes heavy, not powerful. Now, contrast this with conscious silence. This is not about holding back, it is about choosing not to react unnecessarily. A consciously silent person is not afraid to speak. They simply do not feel the need to do so. They are not trying to protect themselves from others. They are anchored within themselves. And this creates a completely different energy. Instead of tension, there is ease. Instead of suppression, there is clarity. Instead of withdrawal, there is presence. They can enter a conversation without needing to dominate it. They can listen without preparing their response. They can observe without being pulled into every emotional current around them. This is where silence becomes something deeper than behavior. It becomes discernment. Because once you stop reacting automatically, you begin to see patterns. You notice how most conversations are not exchanges of truth, but exchanges of identity. People speak to reinforce who they believe they are, to defend their position, to seek validation, to fill space. And once you see this, something shifts. You no longer feel the urge to participate in every interaction, not because you think you are above it, but because you recognize how much of it is unnecessary. This is why many silent people are often perceived as detached or different, because they are not moving at the same psychological speed as everyone else. While others react, they pause. While others speak, they observe. While others chase attention, they conserve it. And this leads to something very few people experience: inner independence. When you are no longer driven by the need to express every thought, prove every point, or respond to every stimulus, your mind becomes quieter. And in that quiet, you begin to access something deeper, not information, but understanding. Understanding that does not come from thinking, but from seeing. This is why silence has always been associated with insight. Because the mind, when constantly active, distorts reality. But when it becomes still, it reflects it. Like water. Disturbed water cannot reflect anything clearly. Still water reveals everything. Silent people, at their highest level, become like that still surface. Not empty, but deeply aware. And once you reach that state, silence is no longer something you do. It becomes something you are. Understanding silence is one thing, but learning to use it is where transformation begins. Because silence is not a personality trait you were born with, it is a discipline you cultivate. And like any discipline, it starts small. Most people do not speak because they have something meaningful to say. They speak because they feel the need to respond. So the first practice is simple. Delay your reaction. When someone speaks to you, pause for just a moment before answering. Not to appear mysterious, but to observe. What are they really saying? What are you about to say? And why? Is it necessary? This small gap begins to break the automatic cycle of reaction.
And in that gap, awareness grows. Every word you say should serve a purpose, to clarify, to contribute, or to connect. Anything else is often just noise. This does not mean becoming silent all the time. It means becoming selective, because when you stop speaking impulsively, your words begin to carry weight. People listen differently when you speak less, not because you demand attention, but because your presence has already created it.